Derek glanced at his phone, the screen lighting up with Bobby's message. "Boss, you coming in today?" Bobby was reliable, always early, never complained when Derek called with a last-minute crisis. Despite his dedication, Derek couldn't shake the ache in his chest as he reread the message. He knew his team depended on him, just as his family did. Maybe more lately. He typed a quick response. "Be there soon, Bobby." Then hesitated, his gaze drifting back to the wedding photo. Lisa's eyes seemed to ask questions he couldn't answer. He sighed, running a hand through his hair, attempting to erase the fatigue that refused to leave him. As he gathered his things, Derek caught sight of Emma's hand-painted mug on his desk. "Best Dad," written in bright green. It brought a small, bittersweet smile to his lips. Things were different now. Emma was older and less interested in bedtime stories, and Lisa's laughter had lost some of its warmth. He walked out of the office, the familiar scent of oil and engine grease comforting, but tinged with regret. The city outside buzzed with life, and for a moment, Derek stood on the threshold, feeling both the weight of responsibility and the loneliness of success. With a determined breath, Derek headed to his truck, determined to make today different, to be more present, for Bobby, for Emma, for Lisa. But as he drove toward his shop, he couldn't shake the nagging doubt growing within him. There was more to fix in his life than just cars. Lisa hesitated, poking at her salad distractedly. "I think I'll be busy helping Jennifer prepare," she said lightly. But her eyes didn't meet Derek's. Emma sat quietly, watching both of them, sensing more than she understood. Derek forced a smile. "Okay then, maybe just Emma and I will go." Lisa's lips curved a little. "She'll love that. You two should have some fun together." After dinner, as Lisa busied herself with dishes in the kitchen, Derek wandered to the living room, turning the new name over and over in his mind. Love, Trevor. The words were burned into his memory, refusing to fade. He knew he couldn't confront Lisa directly, not yet. He needed more answers, something solid before opening wounds that might never heal. Later that night, as the house grew quiet and Emma's laughter drifted from her bedroom, Derek sat alone, staring at the flickering television, paying no attention to whatever show was playing. He replayed every recent conversation, every subtle change in Lisa's behavior. Had he truly been so busy chasing success that he'd missed the warning signs? He remembered the note again, its unfamiliar handwriting. Trevor. The thought kept him awake long into the night, uncertainty gnawing at him as he wondered just how much of his world was about to change. He wouldn't confront Lisa immediately. Instead, he'd gather everything he needed, get his affairs in order, and find out exactly what Trevor Hayes thought he could take from Derek Morrison. Every instinct screamed for him to demand answers, to wake Lisa up right then and there. But he wouldn't give in to rage. Not yet. The next day, Derek went about his morning routine with mechanical precision. He fixed Emma's breakfast, packed her lunch, and watched Lisa bustling around the kitchen as if nothing had changed. He noticed every detail now, the bright lipstick she wore just to go out for milk, the careful way she checked her phone when she thought no one was looking, the tension in her voice when she spoke. As Emma hugged him goodbye before school, Derek's resolve hardened. He kissed the top of her head and smiled as warmly as he could. "Have a great day, sweetheart." Emma looked worried, but managed a smile in return. Derek waited until Lisa left for her supposed appointment with Jennifer. He called the shop, telling Bobby he wouldn't be in. Something urgent had come up. Then he sat alone in the silent house, phone in hand, staring at the screenshots he'd saved. He knew what came next. It was time to protect his daughter, his legacy, and everything he'd built. He would not let Trevor or anyone dismantle his family without a fight. Bobby's eyes narrowed, instantly serious. "This the man who's been messing with your family?" he asked quietly. Derek nodded, his jaw set. "Don't let him see you. I want a full report. And don't get too close. Just track his habits. I need to know everything." Bobby tucked the paper into his pocket. "You got it, boss." His confidence was undeniable, and Derek felt a small surge of relief. For years, Bobby had specialized in seeing what others missed, picking up on patterns, details, and weaknesses in people and in situations. "I'll start tonight," Bobby promised, already reaching for a notebook on the entry table. "I'll get you what you need." Derek clapped a strong hand on Bobby's shoulder. "Thank you. And Bobby, there's a little girl counting on me to get this right. No mistakes." "Understood, sir," Bobby replied, and Derek knew he could trust him. As he left the apartment, Derek let the crisp autumn air clear his mind. Revenge, he thought, was like rebuilding an engine. You had to strip everything down, clean all the broken parts, and start again with better pieces. He'd given everything to his marriage, his family, and his business. If Trevor and Lisa wanted a new start, Derek would hand it to them, his way. And as the sun set behind the St. Louis skyline, Derek Morrison prepared for the battle of his life. The realization hit Derek with the force of a runaway truck. His world, already tilted by betrayal, now spun with the dizzying clarity of someone who saw the whole chessboard for the first time. Lisa and Trevor had orchestrated more than a secret romance. They had plotted together, with Michelle involved, to dismantle his life. Every detail, Lisa's questions, Trevor's promises, Michelle's impending divorce, fit together like fallen dominoes, pointing to a scheme that went far deeper than he had suspected. Derek's anger flared, but underneath it brewed something colder, more focused. No longer the wounded husband, he became the strategist, the survivor who had clawed his way to the top before and wasn't about to lose everything to a web of deceit. He stared at the evidence on his phone, each image a thread unraveling the narrative Lisa had crafted, the life he thought was real. The time for guessing was over. Now, Derek would dig deeper into Michelle's divorce, Trevor's money, Lisa's true intentions, until he understood what they wanted and how they meant to get it. He picked up his phone and dialed Jimmy. "We need to meet. Tonight. There's more going on here than I thought." The lawyer's voice was steady and reassuring, promising to look into property records, bank accounts, anything that might expose a hidden motive or undisclosed plan. As Derek tucked Emma's favorite blanket around her sleeping form, he pressed a kiss to her forehead. "I will keep you safe, sweetheart. Always," he whispered, his resolve hardening with every word. He would protect his daughter and his legacy from whatever storm was brewing on the horizon. Bobby's tone was more urgent than ever. Michelle, her real name is Michelle Torres, has a string of aliases and no fewer than 3 ongoing lawsuits against ex-husbands. One of them tried to file charges, but she vanished before anything could stick. These two are the real deal, Derek. This isn't just a simple affair. They run this scheme all over the Midwest, targeting successful families on the edge of trouble. Derek gripped the edge of his desk, the magnitude of the deception fueling a new resolve. His focus sharpened to a razor's edge. Every kind word, every family moment, every careful lie Lisa had spun. It was all preparation for the con. But she'd underestimated him. Derek was far from helpless, and he would not let them get away with his life's work or his daughter's security. "Keep going, Bobby," Dig until there's nothing left to find. I want every detail. Where they're staying, who they talk to, who's moving the money. This ends now. I'll handle the rest. Derek glanced at Emma's art pinned to the wall. The bright drawings, the careful lettering. My family, my home. He felt a surge of protectiveness so fierce it surprised him. They might have chosen him as a target, but they would soon realize that Derek Morrison was not someone who ever rolled over and gave up. The trap was set, and he was ready for whatever came next. They're on the move. Lisa just left the house, and Trevor's tailing her. They're heading to the shop. It's happening now, Derek. They're making their move. Derek's heart pounded, but his voice remained steady. Stay on them, Bobby. I want to know every step they take. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He hung up, his mind racing. This was it, the moment they'd been preparing for. Derek grabbed his keys and rushed out, his resolve unshakable. He would not let them destroy what he had built, not without a fight. As he sped toward the shop, he knew that today would change everything. The trap was set, and the predators were about to walk right into it. Derek knelt beside her, forcing a gentle smile. Hey, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay, he said softly, wrapping his arms around her. Emma clung to him, her little hands gripping his shirt tightly. Is Mommy mad? She whispered. No, honey. Mommy just needs a little time. But you and I are going to stick together, just like I promised, he reassured her, smoothing her hair. The principal watched silently, clearly aware that something serious was unfolding. Derek thanked her, then gathered Emma's backpack and led her out to the truck. As they drove away, Derek kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting Lisa or Trevor, or rather, Thomas Vernon, to appear. But the roads remained clear, sunlight flickering through the trees. He dialed Detective Walsh as soon as they pulled into the safety of his shop parking lot. I have Emma. We're safe, he reported, voice tense but controlled. Good, Walsh replied. We have everything we need. Vernon and Michelle Torres were already persons of interest in several open cases. Your evidence just broke their ring wide open. For the first time in weeks, Derek felt a sliver of hope pierce the anxiety gripping his heart. The walls of the trap were closing, not around him, but around those who had tried to destroy his world. And right there in the shop, with Emma's trusting face beside him, Derek knew he'd done what he set out to do. Protect his daughter, his legacy, and the family he held most dear. How do you know that? She whispered, the fear in her voice palpable. Because I know everything, Lisa. I know about the gambling debts, the fake divorce, the insurance fraud. I know about the other women, and I know what happens to them when they're no longer useful. You're in deep, Lisa. Deeper than you ever imagined. Lisa's breath hitched, and Derek could almost see her, alone in some hotel room, the reality of her situation crashing down around her. Derek, I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know it would go this far. He promised me a new life, a fresh start. I was just supposed to help him with some paperwork, some financial stuff. You never thought you'd be next on his list of casualties, Lisa. But you are. And so is Emma. So is everything I've built. But it ends now. You have a choice. You can come in, tell the police everything you know, and maybe, just maybe, you can save yourself. Or you can keep running with Trevor, and we both know how that ends. There was a long pause, and Derek could hear Lisa's ragged breathing. Derek, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. Come in, Lisa. Tell the truth. It's the only way out. And maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to fix this. For Emma's sake. Another pause, then Lisa's voice, barely a whisper. Okay, I'll come in. But Derek, please keep Emma safe. Keep her away from him. I never wanted any of this to happen. I will, Lisa, I promise. But you need to do your part. Come in, tell the truth, and let's end this. As Derek hung up, he looked at Detective Walsh, a grim determination in his eyes. She'll come in, but we need to be ready. Trevor won't go down without a fight, and Lisa's life is on the line. Derek glanced at the determined faces around him, men forged in grease, sweat, and years of shared loyalty. First, nobody does anything reckless, Derek said quietly. We're smarter than they are, and we've got the law on our side. Bobby, you and Tony circle to the loading dock. Make sure the police barricade isn't blocked. Bill, you're with me at the front. Quiet, careful. If you see anything dangerous, call it out. We don't want any heroes tonight, just everyone safe. Bobby nodded sharply, eyes narrowing. You got it, boss. Derek drew a deep breath and led the team forward, his hands steady. As they moved toward the building, his mind ticked through all the security upgrades, the new cameras feeding directly to his phone, the silent alarms he'd installed after Bobby's first warning, the panic buttons at every exit. His business wasn't just a target. It was a fortress now. Suddenly, the piercing wail of approaching sirens split the night air. Derek's jaw tightened. There's our backup. Wait for them. Nobody goes in before they clear it. Inside, shadowy movements paused, no doubt catching the surge of red and blue lights flickering against the shop windows. Derek watched as Trevor and his men hesitated, their plan crumbling around them. Within moments, police vehicles skidded to a halt out front, officers fanning out with practiced precision. Derek stood his ground, his people at his side, ready for anything. This was his kingdom, his family, and no con artist, no matter how clever, would ever take it from him. Derek's voice remained calm, but his eyes were cold and unyielding. I wouldn't do that if I were you. You see, these men with me, they're not just my employees, they're my family, and they've got a vested interest in making sure you don't blow up their livelihood. Trevor's face paled, but he tried to bluff his way through. You don't know what you're talking about, Derek. Lisa and I, we're in love. She wants a fresh start, and I'm giving it to her. Derek's smile was cold, almost cruel. Love? Is that what you call it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks more like a con. A very elaborate, very dangerous con. But it ends now, Trevor. Or should I say, Thomas? Trevor's eyes widened in shock, and Derek knew he'd struck a nerve. You think you're the first person to try and take what's mine? You think you're the first person to underestimate me? You're not, and you won't be the last. But you will be the last person to try and hurt my family. Derek nodded to Bobby, who stepped forward, his phone in hand. The police are on their way, Trevor, and they're bringing friends. Friends who are very interested in talking to you about your previous endeavors. Trevor's accomplices exchanged nervous glances, their resolve crumbling. One of them, the one holding the explosive device, dropped it to the floor with a clatter. I'm out of here, he muttered, backing away slowly. Derek's voice was firm, unyielding. Nobody moves until the police get here, and then you're all going to answer for what you've done. As the sirens grew louder, Derek stood tall, his eyes never leaving Trevor's face. This was his kingdom, his family, his legacy, and he would protect it, no matter the cost. Derek let out a shaky breath, relief and heartbreak mixing in equal measure. He looked around at the chaos in his beloved shop, police officers handcuffing Trevor and his accomplices, bomb squad technicians inspecting the device, his employees gathered together in silent support. In the end, he had protected the one thing that mattered most: Emma. He texted Jimmy back, "Thank you. Keep Emma safe. I'll be home soon." Detective Walsh approached, her face grave but resolute. "We'll get statements from everyone and sort the rest at the station. You saved a lot of lives tonight, Derek, including your own." Derek nodded, exhaustion settling into his bones. "I just want my daughter to grow up without looking over her shoulder. I want her to trust again." Walsh placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "This was bigger than any one person. You stopped them, Derek. You gave us everything we needed to shut down a network that's been preying on families for years." As the last of the criminals were led away, Derek glanced at his loyal team, then up at the quiet St. Louis night sky. For the first time in a long while, he felt the stirrings of hope. This storm, brutal as it had been, was ending. He knew there would be more battles ahead: divorce proceedings, testimony, maybe even facing Lisa in a courtroom. But for now, Emma was safe. The truth was out, and Derek Morrison had reclaimed his life from the shadows. He turned to Miguel and Bobby with a tired but genuine smile. "Let's go home, gentlemen. We've got better things to build than walls against people like that." Miguel clapped Derek on the back, and the group filed out into the night together, a family forged not by blood, but by the hard lessons of loyalty, resilience, and trust. Agent Coleman nodded with admiration. "It was risky, Mr. Morrison, but you likely saved lives with your thoroughness." Derek allowed himself a tired smile. "I couldn't let anyone else go through what Emma and I did." Detective Walsh leaned forward. "With this evidence, Lisa and her co-conspirators will face a long list of charges: conspiracy, fraud, attempted murder, and more. She won't be able to hurt you or Emma again." Derek looked through the glass one more time. Lisa's shoulders shook with silent sobs as she realized the gravity of her choices. She was surrounded by stone-faced agents, far from the love and security she had once promised to protect. "I just want Emma to have a chance to heal," Derek said quietly. "She's the only thing that matters now." Agent Coleman closed the file with a snap. "We'll be in touch as the case progresses. And Mr. Morrison, if you or Emma need counseling, the department has resources. This kind of betrayal doesn't heal overnight." "Thank you," Derek replied, exhaustion clinging to every word. He stood and left the room, each step carrying him further from the ashes of what he'd lost and toward what he hoped he could rebuild. Outside, the city lights of St. Louis glimmered bravely against the darkness, a reminder that even after the worst storms, there is always hope. Emma pressed her face into his shoulder, her voice muffled but steady. "I love you, Daddy. Are we going to be okay?" Derek hugged her tightly, fighting back tears. "Yes, sweetheart. We're going to be okay. We'll get through this. Together. No matter what happens, you're safe with me. I promise you that. Forever." She squeezed him harder, and after a moment, the tension in her small body eased. Derek lifted her into his arms and carried her inside, ready to face the new reality that life had dealt them. That night, as Derek tucked Emma into bed at Jimmy's house, he answered her questions as honestly as he could. He explained that sometimes people we love make choices that hurt us, but that didn't mean it was her fault, or that love ever really disappeared. It just changed. When Emma finally drifted off to sleep, Derek sat beside her, watching the gentle rise and fall of her breath. The world outside felt quieter now, and for the first time in months, he let himself hope that peace was possible. He knew there would be more wounds to heal, more trust to rebuild. But as he sat with his daughter, his reason for fighting, Derek Morrison was certain that, together, they could build something stronger than betrayal. Something that would last. "Yes, sweetheart," Derek replied, glancing up from his papers, his voice gentle. Emma paused, pencil hovering above the numbers. "Will you ever get married again?" The question caught Derek off guard. He closed the financial report, giving his daughter his full attention. "I don't know, princess. Right now it's just you and me, and I like that. My most important job is making sure you're happy and safe." Emma smiled quietly and nodded, content with his answer. "I think we're a good team, Daddy." Derek's chest tightened with emotion. He reached over and squeezed her hand. "The best team, Em, and as long as we're together, we can handle anything." Outside, the low hum of the shop was a steady reassurance, a sign that life, even after so much loss, went on. Derek watched Emma return to her work, her golden hair glinting in the late afternoon sun, and felt hope's quiet return. For the first time in a long while, he dared to believe that while the past could never be changed, the future still belonged to them, and together they would make it bright. Jimmy breathed out, a hint of relief in his tone. "That's what I thought you'd say. I'll handle it. Emma doesn't need any more chaos in her life." Derek glanced over at his daughter, who was humming softly as she solved subtraction problems, her small brow furrowed in concentration. He felt a surge of pride and protectiveness. "Thanks, Jimmy. Keep me posted if anything else comes up." They ended the call, and Derek sat in quiet reflection for a moment. He'd always believed that families were unbreakable bonds, but now he understood. True family was built on trust, love, and doing the right thing, even when it hurt. He crossed the room and knelt beside Emma, watching her work. "You know, Em, I'm proud of you. I know things have been hard, but you're so brave." Emma looked up, smiling, her eyes bright. "We're brave together, Daddy." Derek ruffled her hair affectionately. "You're right about that, and no matter what happens, I'll always protect you." For the first time since the storm began, Derek allowed hope to settle in his heart. As long as he and Emma faced the world side by side, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. The wounds would heal, new memories would take root, and their new family, though scarred, would be stronger than ever. "We're going to a place that feels like home," Derek replied, his voice gentle but resolute. "Somewhere fresh, where every memory belongs to us, not to the past." Emma hurried down the stairs, her small face brightening with hope. "Does that mean we can get a cat, and maybe paint my room any color I want?" Derek grinned, feeling a weight lift from his heart. "Absolutely. You can pick the color, and the cat. This is our new start, Princess. From now on, everything we build will be real, and it will be ours." Together, they packed the boxes, leaving behind old photographs, faded dreams, and all the shadows that haunted Maple Street. Derek loaded their things into his truck one last time, glancing back only once at the empty house. As they drove into the St. Louis evening, the city lights glimmered with promise. Emma sat beside him, chattering about room colors and pet names, and Derek felt hope blossom in the quiet space between them. The past would always be a part of their story, but from this moment on, every chapter would be written by their own hands, built on loyalty, trust, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his daughter. And Derek knew, deep in his soul, that whatever the future held, they would face it together. Derek's surprise faded into reluctant admiration for his daughter's pragmatism. "You're always 10 steps ahead, aren't you, Em?" Emma shrugged, her gaze steady. I had to be, Dad. I figured she'd never come back. I just wanted to know for myself. She looked away for a moment, then back at him. Are you okay with it? He sat beside her, resting a comforting hand on her shoulder. Honestly, I feel nothing. Lisa stopped being part of our lives a long time ago. I'm just glad you and I are safe, and that nothing from the past can touch us now. Emma nodded, taking his hand. Me too. We have each other. That's all that matters. Derek squeezed her hand gently, a surge of quiet pride warming his heart. Emma truly was stronger than both her parents combined, as he'd always wished. No more secrets, princess. Whatever the world throws at us, we face it together. She smiled for him, small and genuine. Together, always. There was no need for more words. In the quiet of their home, above the workshop where dreams were built and restored, Derek and Emma sat side by side, father and daughter, survivors, and now, creators of their own destiny, unburdened by the ghosts of their past. The end. He shook his head slowly, his gaze fixed on the twinkling lights of St. Louis below. Not for a single moment, Emma. Having you, just you, has been more than enough. I might have lost a lot, but I gained you, and that's everything. Emma leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice gentle. I wouldn't want it any other way, Dad. We're more than enough. Derek wrapped an arm around her, feeling the steady, quiet contentment that had come to define their lives. The past had tried to destroy them, but each trial had only made their bond stronger. They sat together in the fading daylight, watching the city and sharing the kind of peace that only comes to those who have fought for it, lost much, but kept what mattered most. Derek closed his eyes for a moment, grateful for the quiet, grateful for the girl beside him, who was not just his daughter, but his partner in hope, in survival, and in new beginnings. He knew the world would always hold dangers, but as long as they faced it together, Derek Morrison was certain they would always have enough. Next time for another tale. But as the city lights of St. Louis shimmered beneath them, and the night air grew cool, Derek and Emma sat content in the quiet assurance of their bond, father and daughter, survivors and builders, their hearts aligned in trust that could not be broken. There were no more illusions. Only the hard-won peace they'd forged, side by side, ready to face whatever tomorrow might bring with unshakable strength and love. For Derek and Emma Morrison, the future was truly their own.